Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Saturday, November 30th. Forgot the day, but Sam's not here again. So I've brought in Jake of First to the Floor, was kind enough to join me. Jake, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Happy to be here. Yeah, like some of us take our podcast seriously. Can't miss in 2 games in a row here. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you're like Tatum, Iron Man podcaster. No, I'm doing well. Look, I had my work Christmas party last night, so look, I wouldn't say I'm in the perfect condition right now, but I'm in good enough condition to talk some Celtics. That's for sure.
Phenomenal. And you know what? You're in a better position than Sam because he's not here. So let's just do this real quick. We'll cross his name on the screen off. We'll add Jake's there. He doesn't get any airtime if he's not showing
There
up.
we go.
We'll throw Jake on the screen. Let's start with Mr. Jayson Tatum. Tatum has been having a phenomenal season this year. Obviously, had the Olympic stuff, had the playoffs where he wasn't necessarily shooting well, and then opening night makes every single three on the planet. A lot of buzz this season so far of, oh my God, Tatum's in the MVP race. Tatum's, leading the charge. Tatum, the on-off stats are back saying Celtics are great when Tatum's on the floor, and when he's off the floor, it's not as good. So my question to you, and this can turn into a longer discussion of everything going on, is Jayson Tatum the MVP of the league right now?
Sadly not. Like there's this damn Serbian dude that plays for the Denver Nuggets that, like, Tatum last night, 35, 14, and 5, sorry. I keep forgetting about the last assist that he had because it happened with only 1.4 seconds to go in the game. And on incredible 78% true shooting, and like that's just an objectively incredible MVP level performance. Jokic is just kind of doing that every night, and he's also usually throwing in like 9, 10, 11 assists. So I don't think, as it stands right now, Tatum is the MVP. I think if the season ended today, I don't know. Tatum, the narrative around Tatum is weird. I do think that if the season ended today, he would finish top 3. I think he would finish second if the MVP voting was today. And we can talk about how good Tatum has been and the other candidates and stuff, but like he could backdoor his way in if the Nuggets don't win enough games.
That's what I was going to say. So Jokic right now is averaging 29.7 points, 13.1 assists, 13.1 rebounds, 10.6 assists, and 1.5 steals and 0.9 blocks a game, while shooting 56.8% from the field and 53.4% from three. So there's not much you can really do about that. If you're Tatum, who is averaging 28.7 points, 8.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and 1.4 steals, while shooting 46, roughly 38 from the field. So like incredible stats, enough that he's almost inevitably going to land on his 4th straight All-NBA first team. It's just Jokic exists and is over there in the Western Conference. So I guess my next question is, Celtics currently, this is going to come out the morning of their game against the Cavs, which is a huge game. Yep. Celtics are 16-3. Nuggets are 10-7. What would have to happen, 1, with the stats for Tatum to get there, and 2, how many wins would the Celtics have to have, and how many losses or wins would the Nuggets have to have for Tatum to leapfrog Jokic? Because right now it just looks like he's going to get beaten out by the statistics.
The assists for Tatum are ticking up. I think over like the last 8 games, he's averaging 7 assists. If he can get the assist number to be a 7, I'm not sure if I'm overthinking it, but like, he's already improved from 5 assists to 6 assists this season, which I think is like, for a playmaking wing, for a wing in general to have this level of playmaking is incredibly rare. I think he's the second best playmaking wing after LeBron James, depending on how you classify Luka. Luka's a guard to me. If you can get that number to 7, the scoring probably comes down to like 28, just with Kristaps back. 28, 9, and 7 on, if you can maintain this level of efficiency, I think it's good enough if the Celtics win 65 games and the Nuggets are like, if the Nuggets fall to the play-in, which I think is realistic, that's the scenario that I think opens it up for Tatum. I don't think if the Nuggets are like the 6th seed, they're probably going to end up being like 2 or 3 or 4 games back from the 3 seed in the West, because it's going to be so jumbled anyway. I think it's going to have to be a play-in berth for the Nuggets. That's going to be the one thing. And I don't know, he's just so good that he's going to drag them. I think he's just going to drag them to a top 4, top 5 seed. It's possible that it doesn't happen though, just because the West is good. It's hard to win every single night. And he's just having to put on these like Herculean performances. He's a very durable player. Wouldn't surprise me if he's able to do it, but it also wouldn't surprise me if like he turns out he's human and he's just not able to sustain this night in, night out unless Jamal Murray is able to like return to being not washed at 27 years old.
I mean, you see it a little bit every year. Like I remember last year there was this like 6-game stretch where Jokic made like 2 shots the whole time. Like there was a long stretch where he just couldn't make anything. So you have to assume the 56-55 splits will go down a little bit, which is crazy. He's kept that up 15 games into the season. But like you mentioned, the last, 8 games, Tatum is averaging 26, 10, and 7, which is like where he would need to be if he gets there. And he's shooting 46-40 on 9+ threes a game. So like those are the stats of an MVP. It's just he's playing in an era where Jokic is what, top 20 player of all time at this point. He's got to be in the conversation, right?
Sure.
Like
No doubt.
insane. So it's tough for him to get there. Do you think there's any other players that like think of any like situation? This team goes on a crazy run. They win this many games. This player stats, bulk up. Are there any other players you could see entering the race or taking over Tatum's spot in the voting?
I think Shea is right there right now as well. Like the on-off numbers for him as well. I know in the First of Floor Discord, someone was pointing out like the offensive on-offs for Shea are not quite Jokic level, but he's driving a ton of that offense because Jalen Williams isn't really the level of playmaker similar to Jalen in the way that Jalen's never really been able to carry his own lineups until we have this now, like the Kristaps and the Derek and the Drew lineups. Like that's a little bit different. And so Oklahoma City and Shea are experiencing a slightly, less extreme version of what's happening to Jokic's numbers. So I think Shea's got a pretty good argument for second for MVP right now as well. They keep cranking out these wins. So their offense is still not that good. So I wonder if that's going to actually bite them in the win-losses at some point. But because I think that they're like 10th or 11th in overall offense, their defense has been so good. Chet's going to be out for a while. Giannis, I actually think, has been maybe the second best player, but they're not going to win enough games, I think, to be good enough. Like Giannis is having a insane season. He's carrying this team again, and they've stabilized. The schedule's got a bit easier, but I don't think they're going to win enough games for him to actually crack and beat, because Shea and Tatum are going to probably be on teams that win 60+ games.
Yeah. I mean, right now, Shea is averaging, let me see, almost 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 6.6 assists on 50-34 splits. But people aren't like talking about Giannis. You make a good point because the Bucks have been so bad. He's averaging 32, 12, and 6 on 61% shooting from the field. Like that is ridiculous. He's almost completely cut threes out of his shot that he's taken less than 1 a game. And I think it's because
the mid-range is working for him this year, which is
exactly. And if the Bucks want to win, he cannot like settle for anything less than the most efficient shot on every possession because their offense has been brutal and their defense has been worse. And so he is like leading this charge. The Bucks in their last 10 games are 7-3 and they've won 5 in a row. So they're legitimately turning things around. And it's all because of Giannis, but unless they have like a miraculous season turnaround, then I don't think he'll end up in the MVP race. Then again, if they do have that turnaround and he leads it, then I feel like that could spur like this narrative of him.
Yeah, now that you mention it, like they're 9-9 now, and the East has been like so blah this season that like now they have 1 more loss than the Knicks right now, who are the 4 seed. So like that's what's always funny with the MVP races as well, is like it'll be, this person's the X seed, this person's the Y seed, and if you flip the conferences, it's like, well, like the Lakers and the Warriors were in the play-in last year, but they won 46 games plus last year. And so like Giannis might end up being the 4 seed, but the wins compared to Jokic might, be like less than.
Huge drop off, yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, and so now that I'm like looking at it again, Giannis actually probably, like these numbers are just so insane.
I know.
Like last two weeks, the Bucks have the 5th best offense and 15th best defense. Like if they can maintain those numbers, then they're probably going to end up being the like the 4 seed or the 5 seed, maybe even higher depending on how the Knicks go. And then the numbers like are just going to be too much for potentially Tatum or Shea to overcome.
I agree. It's tough, man. There's just so much talent in the league nowadays.
It's crazy.
You almost have to be on, like, you almost can't be on a 1 seed and win MVP. Like, it's getting to that point because if you want to be the 1 seed and have a legitimate shot to win a title, outside of like outliers, you need to have like a team rather than just like star and then supporting cast. I guess Jokic is the exception because they have a team, but he is such an unbelievable focal point of that they can win, and they did win a title. But I mean, you even see that disintegrating a little bit more now as they've let off like even the smallest of crucial pieces. And so if you want to win an MVP, it almost feels like you have to put up incredible stats on like a 3 to 5 seed. And if you're a Jayson Tatum or even Shea, I feel like could end up falling out of that conversation if the Thunder and Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren like get good enough. I'm not saying this season, but like in future seasons, he could end up being out of that.
Yeah, man. Like, and I think I went back and had a look. It's just really hard for a wing to win MVP. Like, you have to be someone that just has really, really high usage because so much of the MVP is driven by counting stats and like a lot of advanced numbers factor in like the high rebounding numbers. Like Jokic pulling in 13. I mean, Jokic's impact numbers are correct because he is impacting the game in an absurd way, but he's going to pull down 13 rebounds a night because he's a big man. Even Joel Embiid, who's not a good rebounder for a 7'2" center, even in his MVP season, he's just like, casually collecting 11 rebounds, which is going to, bump up his advanced stats and his counting stats. And then you flip it, or you're a very, very high usage guard. Like you look at like the James Harden, the Russell Westbrook little period where those guys traded MVPs. Harden just had insane usage. Westbrook had like 40% usage. That's not really what happens with wings. In LeBron's prime, like he was just obviously an outlier as LeBron. KD did it, but Kawhi was right there. But Kawhi never won one either. And he's kind of, if you're looking at like a parallel over the last like 5-10 years, that's kind of the type of guy that you're looking at. And Tatum wasn't, as good of a defender as Kawhi, but it's hard for a wing to do it because Tatum himself does not play like that. He's just not a guy that's going to dominate usage-wise. He's never dominated like that. Maybe in like 2 or 3 years when the roster's not going to be like quite as incredibly talented, we see the Tatum MVP season. But like right now, he's just not going to be able to put up 35% usage and collect 32, 11, and 7 or 8. Because like he could do it if he had a higher usage, but he's just not going to.
Yes, 100%. I mean, the weird part about that is, and everything you said was 100% true, but like I think Sean Grandy tweeted about it the other day, like the stats that are, oh my gosh, the Celtics are ridiculously much better with Tatum on the floor. Like it wasn't a thing last year, and it's come back. Like on-off numbers is Celtics are the best team in the world with Tatum on, and then with Tatum off, it's like, oh wow, the Celtics aren't that good anymore. Not that they are like. I think the biggest difference from years past to this year, as I'm still trying to find the stat, is the not good Celtics are now still like the best team in the world, but they are like, oh my God, this is the best team we've seen since the Warriors with Tatum on. And so I don't think they'll get that big. I don't think he'll get the credit for the on-off numbers versus like Jokic and them, because the difference between Tatum on and off the court is the best team in a generation versus the best team in the league. And the difference between Jokic on-off numbers are a playoff team versus Cooper Flag. Like that's at the end of the day, that's what's going to be the difference. So it's just tough, man.
It's possible that it's like, sometimes when Embiid won the MVP, no, more like when Jokic won last year's MVP. It was like Embiid won the MVP the year before. We saw what happened in the playoffs, and not everybody, a lot of people just kind of were like, that was kind of dumb. Jokic is clearly better. We should have given it to Jokic. And then Jokic was really good again. So maybe it's like Tatum and the Celtics didn't quite get the full credit for being this historically dominant team last year. And so to back it up a year later, Tatum gets better. The Celtics, turn in another 60-plus win season and what looks like the team that's probably going to win the title again. Does that kind of factor in together where he kind of gets credit for both together? And it's like, this is now an era. This is going to now be a moment. That's like, I'm just trying to generate the narrative because I know a lot of voters vote that way. And that would be, which I'm not even saying is a bad thing. I do think narrative is a good way to look at the MVP in as some part of your criteria as well. Like otherwise, LeBron should have just won 10, MJ should have just won 10, and Jokic should just win 10. And that's fine, but it's not really that fun either to look back and be like, oh, dude, Derrick Rose won an MVP, and like that was an important little moment in NBA history.
Yeah, and I think Tatum will get a bunch of votes because of that, because it's like, okay, yeah, they're the best team in the world again. They have the best team again. Jayson Tatum is better. Like, his stats improved. He is a better overall player. He's one of the best defenders in the league, despite the fact that no one talks about that either. I know we talked about it earlier this season. Like, it just feels like he doesn't get the credit because the rest of the team is so good. And I've always thought that was a pretty lame reason for not giving a player credit. Like, what? Tatum would be more well-liked and viewed as a better player if Brad Stevens was worse at his job.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like, what do you want from them? But anyways, man, it is what it is. We'll see where Jayson Tatum ends up finishing in the MVP convos. I do have to quickly do something, which is remind you listening about Prize Picks, because Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long with Prize Picks. Sam and I use the Prize Picks every single pregame show. Noah's seen it on his screen every single time we're running through the picks, having the live chatters. Decide more or less. We love taking the more on opposing players' turnovers. We love taking the more on points, on blocks, all that fun stuff. I love the blocks for Drew Holiday and Derek White, because Derek White's going to get one. It adds a little bit of juice to your point when you see it in action. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. The next thing we've got is, you guys might have more information by the time this podcast comes out, but by the time we're recording this, the Celtics injury report dropped just a few hours ago, and there's a lot of players on it. So heading into tonight's game, as you're listening to this, against the Cavaliers, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, and Al Horford are all questionable. Now, the context for Al Horford is it is that pesky big toe again, so he's probably fine. But he's listed as questionable with the left big toe sprain. Kristaps is returned from injury management. Drew is right adductor tightness, and Derek is right foot sprain. Now, one, I'll ask you, how concerned are you with all these injuries? And two, the thing that I just thought of, do you think this is Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics' way of getting in the Cavs' head? Because I'm not sold that all of these injuries are going to be long-term issues. I feel like it's just, we've played a lot of, we're going to give our guys a break maybe soon here in the future, so let's get them preemptively on the injury report. I don't doubt that like 1 or 2 of these guys will miss the Cavs game, but I'm not sold that randomly after the first fully healthy game of the season, all of this just popped up.
No, I think you got it. I think it's just covering their ass for the week to come, because we have 5 games and 7 nights coming. It's Cavs, Heat, day off, Pistons, day off, and then Bucks, Grizzlies, which is fucking awesome. Bunch of
great slate of games.
Yeah,
I'm pumped.
Yeah, like and actually the Celtics kind of stink off rest. They're typically much better. Just like line them up and let Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown kind of put the team on their back here. So we'll see. But the Kristaps Horford thing, very unsurprising. It's exactly how they handled it last year. I would personally play Kristaps in the Cleveland game, because I do not want him playing against Miami, because he has now been injured in 2 separate games against Miami. The calf injury in the playoffs, and Bam Adebayo is like notorious for sliding under dudes. He just is. I don't necessarily think Bam is like maliciously dirty. I think the Heat in general just like ride the line. I would just rather just not tempt fate. Play Kristaps in the Cavs game, and I kind of like that matchup more anyway. But that's what I hope. I don't know what they'll do. I mean, Derek left the game yesterday, or left the Bulls game with the foot. So I think that one is real. I do think that the Drew one is more where if Drew's was actually real, it would be doubtful to me, or he would just be out. So the fact that he's just questionable, this is just classic. One of Derek and Drew will play in one half, and the same is true for the Kristaps Horford. That's the way I look at it. I'm not worried.
I do wonder if they'll start sneakily doing the Al Horford treatment for Drew moving forward. Maybe not every back-to-back, but like just sneaking him in rest when they can, especially because Peyton Pritchard is just
he's
like
Steph
the best
Curry now
on the planet.
Yeah.
Like sneakily, I kind of want Pritchard to start against the Cavs. Just dude, let him come off this heater against Chicago and just start cooking everybody. He is unbelievable. Are you worried about any of these injuries for real, or do you think they are just like whatever?
I got a little worried yesterday when Derek didn't come back into the game. Yeah. So the fact that he's questionable tomorrow makes me like feel a lot better as someone who loves Derek White. I like to think I'm in like the 0.1 percentile of Derek White lovers. I know that's hard to say these days, but like I was incredibly worried, and I was like, we got a close game. Who's going to hit every shot in the fourth quarter? And thankfully, Peyton Pritchard was like, I got you, dude. No worries. But yeah, no, I feel very good that Derek's questionable and not doubtful or just straight up out. That because I was for sure he didn't come back in the game, so I was rocking myself to sleep last night.
Yeah, luckily Peyton Pritchard just decided he was going to make every single shot.
And 5 threes in the fourth quarter alone. It's just such an absurd thing to do.
It was insane. And like right in succession too. Like he made them all in a row. It wasn't like there were any break in between.
Crazy.
That was insane to watch. Insane. Next thing we've got is Mr. Oshae Brissett, who was in Washington, D.C. for the Celtics White House ceremony. Recently uploaded a new video of Brissy Files and talked about why he, one, wasn't at ring night, and two, how he made his way to the White House. So Oshae Brissett said, quote, been asked this a lot. Full transparency, guys, as much fun as it would have been, it would have hurt leaving the next day as my guys got ready to go back to work. Obviously, I wanted to be there. Obviously, I wanted to see the fans. That is a moment that we shared together. We won together, but it just wouldn't feel right with me if I was going back home as they were going to practice, and that's just me. Yeah. He also said, I talked to a lot of them about it. Everyone here understands because we're all in the same shoes, same boat. They're athletes, they're competitive, they get it. And then he said, my good man, Mr. Tatum, messaged me, told me about the White House trip, and told me to pull up, et cetera, et cetera. So it sounds like he kind of misses the Celtics, and so he didn't want to come to ring night and have to go home. Good that he was at the White House, but I don't know. It's sad, man. I love Oshae, and this is an unfortunate fallout.
Yeah, it's a bummer, dude. I get that. It's the SpongeBob meme of Squidward watching Patrick and SpongeBob having a great time outside, and Squidward's just like looking through his dark bedroom, sad that all the friends outside are having a really good time. Yeah, man, his agent fucked up. Like it sounds like
so bad.
He thought there was going to be money out there. Caleb Martin, similar situation, and look, I'm really glad that Tatum reached out. I love hearing like little tidbits about Tatum being a really just good person, great friend, great leader, great teammate. And that's like something that's very small, but that's would have been a really big deal for Oshae, man. Like that's like a life moment to go to win a championship with the Boston Celtics. And is he like, they're going to be bonded forever through that. And for Tatum just to reach out and be like, hey man, like you were a huge part of this team, 630 minutes, and go to the White House. Like I know the whole Joe Biden thing was kind of funny, but going to the White House, it's a pretty big deal. And so to get them all together and get those vibes going, like it's just really it's a nice little wholesome feeling. But I do think that they like, I don't know if you can say a team that's 16-3 really misses anything, but like I think that they could definitely use a little Oshae Brissett. I think Jordan Walsh is maybe like making some steps to get there, but I think they miss like a big, strong 6'8" dude that like can come off the bench if Jalen misses a game or something. Yeah,
man, I can't believe he declined that contract. I didn't get it at the time. I don't get it now. Like,
yeah, that's
like I understand where there could be a role for Oshae around the league, but it's just so limited. And if you're gonna sign like a guy like that who might not play a lot, you might as well just go sign a rookie. You're a younger guy, so he's like in that awkward spot, sort of like Lonnie Walker, where it's just like, would you rather take this guy or take a chance on developing someone? Like a even somewhat relatively unproven guy in the NBA has so little wiggle room to decline an option like that. You have to be sure you have something else in place, and to see that he didn't is
like there had to have been like something, and also like how much bigger was the other deal going to be? That's my
Exactly.
thing. Like, who was offering Oshae Brissett a 2 for 12? Who is paying Oshae Brissett the taxpayer mid-level exception? No
He's a
one.
minimum player.
Yeah,
And that's fine,
So,
but like,
yeah. That's really unfortunate because now obviously he's not earning any money, and like you just left a $2.6 million contract on the table is fucking brutal.
so tough. So tough. I'm like you said, I'm glad Tatum reached out though. Glad he got to go to the White House. Very nice to see. And hopefully he lands somewhere. Would be great to see him back in the league. He's a good dude, so you hope for the best there. But let's jump over to the email, Jake. I don't know if you've been here for the email section yet, but we get emails every show. And we like to go over them. So if you wouldn't mind humoring us, we can take a read to see what people had to say. You might recognize some of the friendly faces, but you guys can email us at hbtcpod@gmail.com. That's hbtcpod@gmail.com. Let's check in here first with Joe. Wolves/Ant downfall. We're actually going to talk about this in the NBA section, so we'll just talk about it now. Joe says, "Hey folks, good to see Kristaps back and mostly back to normal. Dude's just gassed, and that's to be expected. Excited to see how we're looking moving forward, and assuming a win on Friday against the Bulls, we could take the first seed with the win on Sunday versus the Cavs and be up 2-0 on the tiebreaker. So big game. One note, Abby is actually short for a much longer last name. Just call me Joe. I can't change the settings for some godforsaken reason. Okay, Joe." So Joe also ends every one of his emails with slander. So that is what the Wolves thing will be.
I love it.
Joe says, "Slander. Oh, how I've been waiting for this day. Ant and the Wolves have finally faced their first media scrutiny. And oh boy, does MJ's son look like a complete clown. Throwing teammates under the bus to the media, having locker room conversations leaked via beat reporters, all eyes on Randall and Dante being the bums they are. Christmas came early for all the haters of Ant Glazers. Side note, I think the dude is an incredible player, but the maturity just isn't there to be a winning player yet. Regardless, rip Bozo. Maybe someone should hook him up to the lie detector again and see if their Western Conference Finals run was a fluke. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving by the time you read this, and looking forward to see how well the team meshes as the week goes on. Would be sick to bulldoze the league again with KP playing 20 minutes a game and alternating with Luke, Al, Nimi, and don't forget Tolman. Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Joe. And I'll read these Ant quotes too, so we can talk about this here. I actually put this in. So a couple of Ant quotes after the Timberwolves lost to the Kings this past Wednesday. He said, quote, "We as a team, including myself, we all was front runners tonight. It was some bullshit for sure. I think we're soft as hell as a team internally, not to the other team, but internally we're soft. We can't talk to each other, just a bunch of little kids." Then he also called out the fans, said the fucking fans booing us. That shit is crazy, man. We're getting booed in our home arena. That's so fucking disrespectful. It's crazy. I don't know if you know this about me, Jake. I hate Anthony Edwards. I think I think he is wildly overrated. I think he is a fine scorer. I think he's closer to like Dwayne Wade than MJ, and Dwayne Wade's a damn good player, but like this thought that he is going to be the best player in the NBA is ridiculous to me. I think he is a fine scorer. I think he can't pass. I think he's a fine on-ball defender, but I don't think he's good off the ball. I don't think he's a good leader. I think he's a bad, just immature. So I'm all in on the Wolves downfall like Joe here. But yeah,
okay,
give your thoughts.
I love it. Yeah, man, like the Ant glazing over the playoffs was so insane, lame, man. So insane. Like, and it's obvious, and it's extra frustrating for Celtics fans as well, because like we didn't really get the normal young player like kind of trajectory where it's like, don't make the playoffs at first, struggle a little bit, and then they start to get really good. They have their first round exit or whatever, and there's like this like normal build into this guy's awesome. Whereas Tatum was just in the Eastern Conference Finals and the finals from the jump that he became this victim of his own success, and everybody started hating on him for whatever reason. But yeah, the Anthony Edwards stuff, like the people putting him in the top 5, people putting him ahead of Tatum coming into this season was really ridiculous. Like, you absolutely nailed it. He's an incredible player, incredible scorer. I think like if I was doing rankings this year, I had him probably like, is Donovan Mitchell not just like better than Anthony Edwards, or like the same as Anthony Edwards or Devin Booker? Like, they're kind of the same to me. Putting him into that like Tatum, Shea, Luka, KD
crazy.
Tier was ridiculous to me. They had the 18th ranked offense last year. Now on the season, They are the 23rd ranked. 19th ranked offense. Again, that's by cleaning the glass. Last 2 weeks, their offense is in 24th, and their first few games, they were just so hot from three. Julius Randle was like nuclear.
Yeah.
DiVincenzo might start hitting threes and even that out a little bit, but that's the biggest difference between Ant and Tatum is the playmaking and the level of floor that Tatum gives you. Tatum's a very underrated floor raiser just by his ability to play multiple positions, both on offense and defense. Anthony Edwards is kind of an extinct archetype as far as elite players go. You don't really find straight up two. He's a two guard. He's not a big forward. He's a guard. He is, and he's not an offensive engine because he's not a good playmaker yet. He's not a good playmaker, and that's a really sure, he's still young. This is the same year, age 23 season that Tatum went to the finals. So there's still a lot of growth that Tatum did between then and now. So I expect Anthony Edwards to get better as a playmaker, but Tatum's growth as a playmaker is an outlier as far as development goes. Perimeter players that didn't display high level playmaking skills earlier in their careers don't typically turn into guys that can run an elite offense, average 7 assists to 2.9 turnovers like Tatum's doing this year. I don't expect Ant to ever get there. Will he get better? Sure. But as it stands right now, he cannot make decisions consistently. Tatum has never, I think, maybe not never, but the one that I point to, the 2020-2021 season where it was Tice and Tristan Thompson, double big lineup. Mm-hmm. Romeo Langford, Evan Fournier, Shemi Ojale, broken down Kemba Walker. The Celtics were 10th in offensive rating that season. That is kind of Tatum's magnus opus. That's kind of insane that he was able to pull that off despite fucking having long COVID through that season as well.
I do have to take a quick break here to tell you guys about Game Time. However, Game Time is the best place, to buy tickets. I know Sam and I both use it whenever we are looking to get our tickets for the latest NBA action, latest NFL action, concerts. I say it every time because it's my favorite artist and I'm going to keep saying it, but no con tickets, Game Time was the play and continues to be the play. NFL games are not Sam style, but my uncle and my brother and my sister and my cousin and I always go to NFL games every year, and I have encouraged everybody to use Game Time because my uncle didn't know. He didn't know the vibe, and now he does. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite team play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Let me share my screen here for the YouTube viewers. Audio listeners can get my play-by-play of the action. Let me open up Game Time for you guys, and we're going to go to Patriots, right? We're going to see how the Pats are going to be, looking in terms of Game Time, because even though they're not the best at the moment, obviously Drake May looks fun. Would be fun to see some games. Let's check out this Chargers game, or actually, you know what? No, let's go to the Bills. Josh Allen's fun. He's probably the most entertaining player in the NFL right now. Let's see what things are looking like on Game Time right now. As you can see here, you can sort by price. You can source low to high and price, high to low, and you can search by discount, which is one of my favorite things. It shows you good deals around the stadium. It shows you stars with some of the best deals, some of the best prices. Obviously, you can sort by the pricing as well. So if you'd rather sit up top, you can go to this hot deal right here, 51. But me being afraid of heights, I don't know if I'd like it up at those upper stands at Gillette Stadium. So let's look a little bit lower. Nothing too crazy, though. I'm seeing these star deals. I see a 136. That's a pretty good deal. Another one of my favorite things about Game Time is you can actually click on the view. You see it on the side right here. You can see exactly what you're going to see from the view of your seat. I'm gonna have to go to this Bills game. It's gonna be a fun one to see Drake May live in action. That'll always be a good time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Yeah, no, you saw it when the Celtics played the Timberwolves the other day. I remember it vividly. Anthony Edwards drove, he kicked it to the corner, and it was like, oh, wow, nice play. The very next time they tried that, Tatum just stepped into the corner and stole the ball, because if you take away Anthony Edwards' first read, he doesn't know what to do. He just loses himself, and that is something we've seen Tatum get infinitely better at. He can go behind the back to Horford or Porzingis. He can skip pass across the floor. He can turn around, find Peyton Pritchard driving up the floor when he's not even in his vision. Like Tatum does a great job of, if he drives and he sees somebody like coming to play help defense, he knows exactly where his teammate will be to find him. And I think it's a very underrated skill set that he has, because I mean, on top of that, he is also just an infinitely better defender, and like 4-5 inches taller than Anthony Edwards. And so that alone is just, I was getting so sick of the Ant is better than Tatum thing, especially during the Olympics. Cause like I get playing Ant over Tatum in the Olympics to a degree, because one was shooting good and one wasn't, and neither of them are going to play the on ball role as much. But objectively, in the NBA and the roles they are in, Tatum is, in my opinion, I think he's the third best player in the NBA right now. I think it goes Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, and you could argue anything higher. I said that coming into the season. I got a lot of hate because no Luka, not SGA, no Embiid. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh my God. All summer. So all of my friends and like my buddies' friends from work, whatever, we'd get drinks and stuff, and all of them would be like, one of them told me Tatum was like 15th. I was like, you're smoking. Get out of my face. I don't want to fucking talk to you. And all of them were like, how can you have Tatum over Luka? I'm like, because one of them plays both sides of the floor. Like, I don't know what you want from me, man. Oh my God. It was painful. All I get from my friends now is so if he was so good, then why didn't he win MVP? So he's not even the best player in his team. And they just do it to fuck with me, but
of course
it works. But it works. So they get me.
Yeah, man. Look, I mean, Tatum should have won Finals MVP. Jalen was close enough where I understand him getting it, but like, people like shit on Tatum for his scoring in the playoffs. Luka had a 55% true shooting in the playoffs. Tatum had a 55% true shooting in the playoffs. Like, their scoring efficiency for the entire run, I don't understand what happened in the playoffs, because Luka literally had one good series. He was in the Clippers series. He was garbage in the Oklahoma City series. He fucking destroyed the fucking Timberwolves, and he was garbage in the Celtics series. He put up a ton of points. He missed like 28 straight threes, and it was like the reason the Celtics diced them up game in, game out, possession after possession. And all season this year as well, he's now out, which I think is like partly real injury, partly like mental. It's like his defense has been atrocious. Like, some of the worst defense by a superstar that's ever been played in the finals is what we saw from Luka Doncic. And now Tatum's offense has leveled up. The gap between them offensively is closing, and the gap between them defensively is widening. Yeah. And so like, if that continues to happen, then it's kind of an easy choice for me.
100%. I mean, that's always what I said. Like, there is no doubt and no arguing that Luka Doncic is a generational offensive talent, but the gap between Tatum and Luka on offense is infinitely smaller than the gap between them on defense in Tatum's favor. And you can't look past that. I mean, I said it to you guys on the late night shows during the finals. It's embarrassing that the Western Conference let the Mavs get to the finals last year. Yes, that's an unacceptable atrocity. It was awful. It was so bad.
It was awesome. Anyways, I loved it. Thank you. I'm hoping we get the Mavs again. That would be my number one choice. I would love that personally. Yeah, dude. In a piece that like Tatum not going to get credit for as well. It's like part of why he's become so good is like he's a 99th percentile work ethic guy, and I think Jalen is probably like a 99.5 percentile work ethic guy. But Tatum, like he's extracting every piece of like production out of whatever talent he has. Like, I think it's very fair to say Luka's the more like quote unquote talented dude. He's in year 6, bro. Where's the best shape of my life guy? Where is like him coming in and being like, Tatum's going to play 70 games minimum every season and be one of the most conditioned athletes in the NBA.
And be mad he didn't play the other 12.
Exactly. It's like, I can't believe you made me sit. And then going back to Ant, it's like, I'm yet to see is like Ant got tired in the playoffs. It's like very cool. You're playing on ball defense. Let's say you play possession after possession, series after series on defending the opposing team centers, being one of the best, still being one of the better on-ball defenders. It's like there's a wide gap, I think, from the mental work ethic side, especially for Luka. And still young enough where I'm not gonna like hit him too hard. And like he's lucky in that he is a like otherworldly athlete. Like his genetic profile is kind of out of control. Yeah, he's a freak. So I think it's maybe not popping up as much for him. But yeah, so we'll see if he unlocks that piece either, because like not everybody does.
100%. Thank you, Joe. Next email we got is from RJ, the GOAT, our email GOAT here.
Hell yeah,
Says, movement make the world go round. Happy Black Friday, folks. Excuse me. Love the Friday episode with the new toy. I like how it is showing at the Love the Friday episode with the new toy. What's the new toy? Am I stupid? I'm trying to think. New toy. Friday episode. I don't know. It's definitely me being dumb here. But anyways, love the Friday episode with the new toy. I like how it is starting to show that more off-ball movement Jayson gets into, even if it's just a simple high screen action, the better he performs on his three-pointers. We posted an episode where we talked about Tatum shooting with the new website, shotcreator.com. That is what, okay, yes, sorry. I'd love to see him run more Hauser-styled plays to get him some easier looks on the wing, baby steps. Along those lines, I wonder if that sort of motion might also help Jaden Springer on his threes. I know a lot of guys seem to like the slow setup and launch threes.
This is classic Oshae. I love it.
But maybe like Pritchard, too much time to think about it leads to overthinking. Anyways, still shopping. Have fun and be well, RJ, who wonders if Phil is going to bust out some Celtics carols for the season. Oh yeah, I don't know if we told you about that. Phil Apart, one of our longtime viewers who Sam and I got lunch with, has been making songs for us. So like he has like a Kada song, a KP song, so those are really cool. I'll have to show you, but I don't know if there is saving Jaden Springer's shot. I but
that's not my problem with Jaden Springer, I would say. I think he's probably like a fine shooter. I think it's more like the offense.
He's all right.
He's short. The shot doesn't get off quick either.
Yes.
I love how much RJ loves the deeper bench
in the weeds. Oh yeah.
Way like main Celtics. Like it's honestly incredible and has been very valuable, I think, for me personally. Like RJ's always pointing stuff off, making sure we know when the main Celtics games are on. But yeah, like
today.
They played today. Okay. Good to know. Did they get up? Did they?
No, they don't. They lost. They lost. The last 2-minute execution was horrendous. But anyways.
Oh boy. They missed Celtics. They miss main Celtic legend Neemias Queta probably a little bit.
They do. They desperately do. Oh my God. I went up there for a couple games earlier this season, and they were playing like drop coverage that would work if they had Queta, but they had Dimitrios Kapintsev, and he got a few blocks, but he is just not built for that like Queta is. It was rough.
So I guess do you want to hit the Jaden Springer part or the Jayson Tatum part?
Either one. Let's do Tatum because I feel like that's a bit more topical and we can actually discuss.
Yeah, like I mean, I haven't looked at the catch and shoot numbers the last like week or so, but I wrote about Tatum's efficiency this season for Celtics blog, and he was at 3.6 catch and shoot attempts compared to like 2.9 last year, so like a massive jump on his catch and shoot attempts. And I think part of it is I think they're trying to get him involved a little bit more. Like the D White Tatum 2-man game where Tatum is a screener, he pops, very difficult to defend, and like Tatum's been eating catch and shoot style from that. I think part of it, and maybe a bigger part of it, he's just been more aggressive on the catch. Any look he's getting on the catch, he's just triggering. And that's just not something that he was doing in the playoffs last year. Like which I don't even think was necessarily a bad choice because they just were not going in. And he was just driving and kicking a little bit more. Like Tatum only took 7 3-point attempts in the playoffs, which is hard to imagine now when you see how many he's taking this season, and he was playing 40 plus minutes in the playoffs. It's a tricky balance because like, yes, I'm with RJ. More Tatum catch and shoot opportunities is good. And because like obviously he's shooting 46% this year, 43% last year. I looked at I added up all of the attempts his 7-year career. He's at like 42% on catch and shoots for his whole career. Elite on catch and shoots. So you want more of those. The flip side is he's our best initiator, like easily.
Yes,
He's I love Derek White as a decision maker. I think he maybe is a better decision maker than Tatum, but Derek White does not have the size, athleticism, and physicality to get teams in rotation in the same way that Tatum does. And then Jalen has that physicality, but he's just far below as far as a decision maker.
Yeah.
So like Tatum, you need him being your lead initiator. So it is a balance.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I was like trying to like stave away the Sam impression of me. You go, he only took 7 attempts, and I can like in my head he goes only 7 attempts. Like that is bar for bar, like exactly what he would have said.
Threes are good, Sam. I'm sorry.
100%. He's taken over 9 this year, and like the Celtics are lapping the NBA just because of how many they are getting up. And so as much as it might not be exactly Sam's forte, like that's how you win in the NBA now. You take as many threes as you can.
They go in usually for Tatum. So.
Exactly. He's shooting like 38% this year, man. I think the whole like Tatum is objectively a streaky shooter, and I think he just always will be, and that's fine. And I think that's what happens a lot when you're taking such high volume. But I think the playoffs and the Olympics really skewed people's views and opinions of him as a shooter unfairly. It was wild.
It's crazy how much that like period skewed everyone's opinion of his as him as a total player and his overall shooting. I'm like,
it's wild.
Do you not remember like 2 years like the finals run when they went to the finals against the Warriors? Dude, he was unreal like the whole playoffs, both against Milwaukee, Miami, and in the fucking Warriors series, he was money from 3. So man, Sam, I'm sorry, dude. You got to just let it wash over you, brother. Get used to. I will say the streakiness I think has more to do with shot selection than ability. Yes. And this year, I do think he has been the pull up threes more clean looks. The one that I will point to as the bad ones, tie game against the Pacers, overtime, or maybe they were up to, and he like takes a step back, contested against Isaiah Jackson.
Step back's bad. Step back's bad.
It's if he gets a clean look, I'm fine. If he's against a really good defender that actually sticks with him and he has to like lean and alter his release, those do not go in. Those just do not go in. If he's able to get in his bag and get like completely clean looks, those I'm fine with.
We looked at the numbers. The step backs are below 30% from 3 this year, so not exactly the most efficient from him. But thank you, RJ. More Tatum from RJ. Jayson Tatum comparison.
Here we go.
He says, evening, folks. A quick look back at JT's career. One of these is Tatum's career line. Can you tell me which is his and which the other player is? Let me control plus to get just that on the screen so we can take a look. So player A, 531 games, 12,363 points, 3,818 rebounds, 1,917 assists, 588 steals, 356 blocks. Player B, 490 games, 6,610 points, 2,253 rebounds, 2,661 assists, 671 steals, and 233 blocks. I have no idea.
This is hard. Is this because like is this a current player or is this a like historical comparison? Because
I think I saw where he's going with this, and it's really funny. So, player A is Tatum, and player B is Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball combined, which is really rough for the Lakers and Sixers. RJ says it's amazing what drafting the right player can do for your team. A tip of the cap to Danny be well, RJ, who likes to appreciate history as well as the moment. That's wild.
The Tatum and the Jalen picks are
generational.
Those were not consensus choices at all, especially the Jalen one. But the fact that Ainge was willing to trade down from 1 meant that he already had Tatum at 1 on his board. And Markelle Fultz was the consensus number 1. Lonzo Ball was more or less an industry marketing plant from LeVar Ball. But like Markelle Fultz was everyone's number 1 pick. He was supposed to be like James Harden-y with better defense coming into the NBA at a time where lead guards, Steph Curry and these guys were like just dominating. And so for him to trade back, sadly the pick turned into Romeo Langford, but to get an additional pick while also drafting the player that was just, you almost can't measure how much better Jayson Tatum. Well, I guess RJ just did it. But it's hard to wrap your head around how big of a decision that was for the Boston Celtics relative to the other two guys.
It's insane. I mean, I just lost what I was going to say. What was I going to say? If the people had their choices, the Celtics would have Chris Dunn and Josh Jackson right now. So it is.
Dude. I was a Buddy Hield guy. I was a Buddy Hield guy. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, he's better than Chris Dunn.
He's been phenomenal. Buddy Hield, I mean, he's probably been the third best 3-point shooter of the generation behind the Splash Bros. And now he's in Golden State.
I was not I was not locked. I did not know anything about the draft or anything back then. So I was more into it the next year when I was like the Tatum Fultz thing. But the year before I was just like, the team's pretty good. I didn't envision the new version of the Boston Celtics. I was drafting for the IT version of the team. And I was like, let's get Buddy Hield in here.
I remember the first time I even a little bit paid attention to the draft. It was, I think I was in high school and I was taking the bus home one day and I had ESPN's mock draft simulator where it would do the lottery and then mock draft people based on that lottery. And I kept doing it because I really wanted the Celtics to draft Julius Randle in the spot where they got Marcus Smart. And that's how I know I was never destined to be an NBA champion.
Julius Randle's good.
He's fine, but
I mean, you could easily make the argument that he's better or has been better than Marcus Smart.
Probably.
Two all NBA teams. Marcus has never sniffed an all NBA team, but I'm very glad that we got Marcus Smart and not Julius Randle. Going back to the Wolves thing, I don't think it's all Anthony Edwards' fault. Julius Randle is an all-time bad vibes guy, which I may have underrated in that trade, which I kind of liked for the Wolves.
I did too.
Wrong. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, unfortunate. But anyways, thank you, RJ. Thank you, Joe. Let's jump over to the NBA section here of the podcast. Let me bring up the NBA standings so we can take a look.
Hell yeah.
At the rest of the league. I'll change the colors here to blue as well, just for the aesthetics purpose of the show. Bang, there you go. I think I have Jake's name already preloaded. Yes, I do. All right.
Let's go.
So, NBA standings. The Cavs, as we're recording this, still 17-3 atop the East, but the Celtics half a game behind. Magic right there at 14-7. The East is slowly getting better. Magic, Knicks, and Heat all above 500 now. Bucks right there at 500, and then you start to get into the slop a little bit. Hawks, Pacers, Nets, Pistons, Bulls, Hornets, Raptors, Sixers, Wizards still have only won 2 games, both against the Hawks, who have beaten the Cavs twice, which is just a ridiculous stat. We'll stay in the East for a second. I guess I'll just open it up. Anything that's surprising you, any trends in the East that you are liking / not liking that are surprised by, just general thoughts on the state of the East, I guess, right now.
I mean, the Magic are surprising just because when Paolo went down, you just kind of assumed that they would, fall back into the 9-1 range.
Last 10. Crazy.
That's incredible. And I have been a Franz is better than Paolo guy for a while now.
Ooh.
Yeah. I have a tweet from October 2023, so before the last season, and I believed it even before that. But that's the earliest actual receipt that I have. And look, the take was hanging on by a thread, and now I feel a little vindicated. Look, Paolo obviously has.
He was insane.
He was playing incredible. He had that 50 bomb, 13 rebound, 7 assist game against the Pacers. I just have always loved Franz because I think he's been a much more efficient scorer than Paolo. He's a better playmaker and he's a better defender. So Paolo just has more of the outlier physical gifts, and he's Paolo is fucking awesome as well. You can definitely see the vision of the future of the Magic kind of morphing into a version of this current version of the Celtics, right?
That's what I was just going to say. Jalen Suggs, even Derek White, Drew Holiday type.
Yeah, or Marcus Smart, I hesitate to say Derek White just because this version of Derek White is so I don't even know what he is anymore. He's just turned into fucking Klay Thompson from a shooting perspective, while also being able to run your offense and being one of the best guard defenders. But Jalen Suggs with being the Marcus Smart guy, and I like Goga, and they've just got depth kind of all over the place. Anthony Black kind of coming into his own, but they play hard defensively every single night, man. And if I've got my clean the glass kind of up here, but I'm pretty sure they're tops of they're third in defense again this year, and offensively, man, that's their problem. But like they're 22nd in defense on the season, and I know one of Zach Lowe's favorite stats. So I think was like it's been a decade since the Magic have been in the top 20 in offense. So it's just like several iterations of Magic basketball. They have just not had a good offense, and so like long term, I think that's going to be a problem for the Magic. But I love watching them play. I love Franz. I love Suggs. They're going to be a top 4 seed, I think, just like because of their defense is so good.
I underrated them coming into this year. Them and the Cavs I had as like playing teams, and that was my own mistake. But I mean, I guess it was kind of tough to picture everybody else falling off this hard. But they've been a lot better than I anticipated. My biggest team, dude, this Hawks team is fun. Like genuinely super fun, super entertaining. I caught the very, very end of their game against the Hornets today. Jalen Johnson's damn good.
Awesome. Yeah.
Zachary Oshae is very raw still, but you can see how things can come along for him. Like Dyson Daniels, your guy,
my guy, dude.
Great Barrier Thief has to be like #1 nickname in the league. That's so fucking cool. It's so sick. Did you see the clip of them walking him off in handcuffs?
Yes.
Oh
no, yeah. I saw it. I think I know. I heard about it.
So
but
cool.
So something I just have to mention about the Great Barrier Thief nickname. It's important to note that Duop Reith for the Portland Trail Blazers, another Australian Boomers. Not quite legend, but Australian Boomers player.
Yeah.
He already had the nickname Great Barrier Reef. So Dyson Daniels has stolen the nickname from fellow Australian Boomers basketball player Duop Reith. But as someone, Eric Weiss, has pointed out to me on Twitter, that the nickname kind of ends up just going to the player that's better. And it's inarguable that Dyson Daniels is clearly turning into the better player than Duop Reith, who I was a fan of as maybe someone for the Celtics to trade for. But Dyson, man, what's funny about this Hawks team is they're record-wise exactly where I kind of thought they would be. I went over on their over-under. Their over-under, I think, before the season was like 36.5 wins. And I expected them to be around 500. So I'm not surprised record-wise. They've been very weird because they've lost to a bunch of bad teams. And they've got, obviously, 2 wins against the Cavs now and a win against the Celtics.
Wild.
I love the vision. Like, they completely... I never understood the DeJounte Murray trade. I always thought he was an overrated defender. He's only so good you can be. As good as of a defender as Derek White or Caruso is, guard defenders that are... And DeJounte Murray was never close to as good as those guys anyway. And so the idea of like trading for a defender to put next to Trey that's also small, that's not an elite shooter. Anyway, that trade was a disaster. I like the vision of this team way better. Surround Trae Young with 6'7", ball handler, physicality, athletes, defenders. That's how you build a team around Trae Young. I love the vision. I think they nailed the Ricochet pick in what was described as a bad draft. And dude, this is what you want in the NBA. 6'7", toolsy wings. I know the shooting numbers aren't good yet. The shot looks good to me. He looks confident taking him. It's funny. It's one of those things where when I watch the Hawks, he seems to be making big shots. So like to me, he's been a pretty good shooter. Yeah. But like Jalen Johnson, I love. They're missing a bit of creation, and that's why they're obviously like they're 10 and 11. But they're a super fun team. I see the vision, and also generally kind of good for the Celtics and teams around the league that the Hawks draft pick that the Spurs own. At least they're not going to be like guaranteed top 5 lottery pick. At least that the Hawks have stabilized, so they're not just going to hand the Spurs and Wemby like top 5 picks for the next couple of years.
Yes, 100%. All right, let's do the West here. OKC up top still 15-4. Rockets at 14-6. Warriors, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Lakers. Mavs have sort of sprung back up from a rocky point.
Luka.
11-8. Oh yeah,
got rid of that that dickhead.
Magic. What happens? Clippers bit better than people expected. I think in 8th. Then you got the Suns, Spurs, Timberwolves, and Kings in a bit of a rocky spot at the moment. Then the Blazers, Jazz, Pelicans. Blazers are 8-12, who are a game behind the Kings and a game and a half behind the Timberwolves, which is crazy. But what stands out to you in the West right now?
There's 2 teams I would like to mention here. I'm going to go with the one that's nearer and dearer to my heart here, but it's the Memphis Grizzlies, man. Currently the 4 seed, as you said, 13-7, like a good 3 wins clear of the Nuggets at the 5th seed. Ja's been out for a bunch. Jaren Jackson Jr. missed early in the season. I don't think GG Jackson's back yet either. Smart's been in and out of the lineup. For them to have maintained this record with all those injuries.
And Bane's been bad.
Bane's been bad. Another guy where it's funny, one of the games that I've watched, he's been fucking awesome and he's been garbage shooting the ball. But I loved this team coming into the season. Edey's been like, up and down. He's been a rookie, but like I really see the vision there. Like Steven Adams 2.0 with Zach Edey. Marcus Smart had a Marcus Smart, just like pure quintessential game where he just like first like he's diving on the floor, he's like assisting from the floor. He had like 25 points on like 7+ threes or whatever it was. To see him doing his thing. So like Marcus going to the Grizzlies, going back to what we talked about with Oshae, but like to a much bigger degree, obviously. Like Marcus has a very special place in my heart. I want him to be in a very positive basketball experience environment for the next part of his career, because it's like the Celtics are literally living like basketball nirvana since trading him. And so to see them playing well, I love their balance. Ja Morant's one of my favorite players in the NBA to watch, and he's so fucking good at basketball, dude. His passing ability is so underrated. I love watching them. I'm very glad they're in the top 4 seed already, and I feel like they've got a runway here now that they're actually healthy too.
Yeah, no, the Grizzlies are good, man. They're turning into like Heat West, excuse me, where they just find like random
generate
players, like
everyone.
It's crazy. Scottie Pippen Jr. is just like the new Tyus Jones. I feel like Tyus Jones is good, but he's getting to the point where like whoever the backup Grizzlies point guard is just going to be like the best assist player in the NBA. Jay Huff, who was just like top by the Lakers, is now insane. Like just a great player. Jalen Wells, who they drafted, is just a great player. Like they just find guys. Jake Moravia is good too. Like it's just
Jalen Wells, dude. What the fuck, man? Like where did he even get drafted? He was like he wasn't.
I think it was second round.
That's what I'm saying. Like because Edey was their first pick. He was the 39th overall pick, dude, and he's been starting for them, and he's been really, really good. Like. That's not supposed to be allowed. Like I'm very, very jealous. But I'm happy it's happening to the Grizzlies. They have been so good in the draft the last like 5+ years.
It's crazy, man. Like, let me see. Yeah, I'm looking here. He was, like you said, 39. Other players who went around him. It was Juan Nunez, 36.
Yeah, who?
Bobby Clintman at 37.
I like Bobby Clintman there. Yeah.
I do too, but he hasn't played yet. AJ Mitchell at 38, Jalen Wells, and then Oso Iguodala, who's actually been pretty good in his limited minutes for the Suns. But
no Jordan Walsh, but he's been pretty good, I guess.
It's wild what's happening in Memphis. You said there's a second team you want to talk about too? Well,
yeah, feel free to jump in, but like the Rockets being the 2 seed.
No, run. Crazy.
Like,
yeah.
Holy shit. And they're fun, man. I mean, everyone's favorite nerd player right now is Amen Thompson, but like he is such a fun player to watch, dude. Like,
yes,
he is one of the freakiest athletes I've seen. Some of the stuff that he does, I'm just like, I watch NBA basketball all the time, and all these guys are freaky athletes. And for someone to jump off the screen like night in, night out, is so impressive. And the offense is starting to come around a little bit as well. He's awesome. Like him and Tari Eason just coming off the bench, terrorizing people.
So sick.
Like I know when the Celtics took that, like they had I think the pick that they traded away for Brogdon.
With Şengün.
Oh no, that I think that was
that was the
same draft. Was that the same draft?
Trade.
Yeah, I know. Because I think Tari was a year or two after Şengün, and I remember people being like, hopefully they could trade up to get Tari, and I just remember seeing that. And I'm like, yeah, he would have been an awesome Celtic because it's having a 6'10" dude that is just a terror, can switch multiple positions and like has good feel on offense. They are very, very fun. I'm not a big Şengün guy. I get that he's been good and he's helping them drive wins. He's been better defensively, but like I'm not a Şengün guy. That's just what I'll say.
He feels like if Jokic is S tier and Sabonis is A tier, he is the B tier version of that player. And that's fine, but it is just a step down. I'm also not a Jalen Green guy. Like I get it, and I know he can be pretty good, but I am the biggest Reed Shepherd fan, so I would like them to just play him more.
Hell yeah. It's because we went to Summer League. We watched him beat Steph Curry, dude.
Yes. No, the Rockets are fun, man. They're so cool. Like, And for all of the shit that went down in Boston, the way he ruined it, like Ime has those guys playing hard.
Yeah.
Like those guys are very cool.
Great defensive
very fun
coach.
to watch.
They
Yes.
have massive offensive concerns, was exactly the problem with the Celtics as well. In the most
100%.
important moments.
Yeah. Yeah. The team I want to talk about, which we can move into our next little topic here, is the Pelicans are a fucking mess right now. They are in absolute shambles. And the latest thing from Brian Windhorst is they're still not going to sign Brandon Ingram. He says sources told ESPN that the two sides can't agree on a contract extension, and trade talks since last summer have failed to align. Finding a place where New Orleans can send Ingram's $36 million salary and get value while also reducing salary, the Pelicans are currently in the luxury tax for the first time ever and likely not to stay there. It's hard enough, but finding a deal with a team Ingram will be comfortable signing a new deal with has also stalled talks, per sources. Just a complete mess. However, I do think if there was ever a year for them to be bad, that this is it, because if you handle this correctly, and a lot would have to go right, but this has been my sort of windy fingers, like this could happen for the Pelicans. If things go your way, let's say the Pelicans are absolute ass for the rest of the year, which would suck for them, but let's say it's a Grizzlies lost season like last year, and they get the number 1 pick this year. If you can get into position to draft Cooper Flag, hell, if you can get Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper as well, if you can get up that high, I'm trading Zion. I'm saying fuck this. I want to get as much value as I can get out of Zion now, and we'll roll forward with one of Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, or Dylan Harper, plus DeJounte Murray, plus Herb Jones, plus Trey Murphy, plus Jose Alvarado. A pretty fucking good young core for this young player to star in, and you'll be fine moving forward. But if there's ever a year for you to be bad, it's right now for this draft, for the flag sweepstakes. Just get what you can for Brandon Ingram. Let that be whatever. It's a shitty situation. Get what you can for Zion if you get in that position, and roll. So it sucks right now, but I think this could maybe be better for the long-term future of the Pels.
I think they should tank for sure. Like all the other stuff, because like right now they're 4-16. There's just no chance they're going to get up to, like, best case they get into like the 9-10 play-in range. And even that's going to be so hard to do, dude. Like to make up that many games in the West when you're like, that would involve becoming good very, very soon, and becoming like really good very, very soon, which just does not seem on the horizon for the New Orleans Pelicans. The Brandon Ingram thing, if you get whatever you can for him, I feel like it's more likely that they just end up having to let him walk. Like, I'm not sure who's trading you $30+ million in salary. Like, for actual value, I feel like it's going to be more the other way around, and that the Pelicans would actually have to attach something to get rid of Brandon Ingram. Like, who wants Brandon Ingram? That's a contender.
He's playing all right. It's just
he's good.
It's just such an awkward fit for any team that is actually wanting to win at the highest level. Like, it would have to be a team that is perfectly in the spot of good enough to make the playoffs and wants to be competitive, but also desperate enough to be better that they would be willing to trade for Brandon Ingram. Like, the Lakers always going to be in that desperate spot because they're always going to be teetering on being a good team versus being a play-in team. I just don't know who else is out there that would want him and has the means to go get him. Like, unless you're the Heat and you're like, hey, let's get another scorer, which maybe you want, but that's a little weird.
I know he's like a better version of Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero, I guess. But like, I'm not sure that he's changing much for them, and then they would have to still send out a bunch, and then you got to deal with paying Brandon Ingram, which maybe that's actually not as big of a problem as I would think. Like, no one's going to offer him a ton. You just offer him like
25, maybe. Like,
the thing that's hard to get a read on for me is like Zion. Like, how much value does Zion have?
Well, the thing we talked about last time we recorded, we talked about this. Every year in his contract from here on out is non-guaranteed. So like,
really?
No one, So it is fully like, he has a bunch of like weight clauses that if he hits certain marks, he will like get percentage guarantees. But every year, the last 3 years of his deal after this season are non-guaranteed. So worst case, the Pels can just like, all right, we're done with him. But best case, they get a little bit of value because the next team that trades for him could be like, all right, we can just be done with him whenever we want. So it's a bit of like,
that's a bit of a curveball and makes things a little bit easier to deal with. I mean, like, tank, and then it really feels like the ship has kind of just sailed with Zion already, like, health-wise. Like, going back to the work ethic thing, he has to, like, his body, clearly, he needs to be someone that's going to just be 99th percentile. He needs to take it so seriously because his body is not like Anthony Edwards, for example, in that he can kind of slack a little bit. Clearly, his body is not cooperating in a way that he can just slack off with some of the conditioning and rehab stuff. So unless you think that's going to change, then it's probably never going to happen. But at the same time, it's like tank, get Cooper Flag or whoever, and hope that Zion figures it out. Because then if you get, because the whatever percentage chance you get Zion healthy plus this top 5 pick, that's probably the future of the Pelicans that you want if you're a Pelicans fan.
Yeah, it's just like you said, the Zion thing seems wildly far-fetched at this point. But last NBA thing very quickly before we go is the Nets fire sale is supposedly a real thing now. The Nets are open to trading everybody on the roster. This is from, who said this? I don't have it. Oh, Brian Windhorst again said the Nets will have, quote, just about everyone on the roster available in trade, quote, as long as they don't have to take back any long-term money, but they also, quote, won't be giving anybody away. It sounds like we're just going to see the Nets clean house by the deadline. I would assume Dennis Schroeder's gone, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, maybe even Cam Thomas, because I saw some stuff that said they don't see him as much of a long-term piece, which could make sense. But I think the Nets are in a really great spot. I think Jordi Fernandez is proving to be an amazing coach. I think you are the perfect balance of competitive while also having a bunch of pieces to sell. They just have to do it sooner than later so they can tank fast enough to get one of the top picks because they're almost too good right now.
Yes, dude. They need to do that like immediately because the good thing is like the lottery odds have been flattened a little bit, so it's like not as important to be like right at the top. So that's part of it, but like because right now like they're the Jazz, Pelicans, and Wizards, and the Sixers, and the Raptors, and the Hornets, and the Bulls are all have
and
less
the Pistons
wins than them, and the Pistons. So it's like that's too many. That's a lot of teams. It's a lot of teams to kind of like leapfrog in the opposite direction. Like Cameron Johnson's the prize to me for some contender that can.
He makes a sneaky lot of money though. He makes like
23.6. That's a great contract. That's nothing today.
It's a good contract. It's just
it's just right. So like the Lakers wish they could get him, but the Lakers cannot. They're a second apron team from memory, so they
can combine salaries. They can aggregate. No. They got out of the second apron from what I'm seeing on Spotrac. Yeah, I see it on Fanspo, so it tells me the Celtics can't, but it doesn't say anything for the Lakers. So I think
because I just tried Cameron Johnson, D'Lo, Hood Schifino, whatever. I don't know, whatever. But like that's the type of trade that they should be trying to do because that's what they like. They desperately need a wing, an athletic wing that can play both ways.
You know who I'd love it for? I'd love the Houston Rockets to get Cam Johnson. Imagine they get a little bit extra shooting, like get something else. Oh, that'd be so sick. That's a team that I'd be rooting for to get him. Them or like one of those fun teams out west. Just go get Cameron Johnson, improve your shooting a little bit. Like imagine the Spurs trade for Cam Johnson. Spurs get an extra shooter. That's fun.
Yes,
that'd be real fun. I'd be a big fan. You'd
trade
Zach Collins and something else.
They desperately need more shooting as well. And like Cam Johnson showed like some more kind of individual creation stuff as well. Like, so yeah, man, I'm a huge fan of his. Like that's the type of player I envision the Celtics kind of slotting in down the line once they kind of reshuffle the decks. Like he's a winning player to me.
Yeah. Dennis Schroeder is almost like a weirder fit because he feels like Dennis Schroeder's an awesome player, but he needs to have so much control to be the best version of himself. It's almost like obviously a much more minute version, but like it's almost like prime Russ trying to fit in anywhere else. Like it's just not going to be as good because he needs to have so much of the ball. So I don't really know what'll happen with Dennis Schroeder, but he'll go somewhere. He'll land somewhere. I just don't know what the best place will be for him.
Yeah, he's good, man. Celtics legend. Dennis Schroeder.
Celtics. I hated Dennis Schroeder in Boston. It was my least favorite era.
It was not a good fit. It's not a good fit. But he Brad flipped him into Tice, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yes, he did.
Yeah, and brought him home. So it all worked out.
Hell yeah. All right. That'll wrap up the NBA. Do you want to entertain me for the rat list for 5 minutes? I don't know if you are a fan or
I'm
know
aware.
the rat list. Okay, aware of the rat list. So this is just our space to complain, to talk about funny stuff. So I think I loaded up a Jake Eisenberg version of the rat list as well. So we've got this. So I'll let you kick it off. Anything, like any minute frustrations, or I guess I can give you an example first too.
Yeah, please. Yeah, show me how it's done.
I told this on the pod a few days ago, but I'll tell it to an audience this time because I was alone when I did it. So my family got a new puppy, very cute. Her name's Georgia. She's very cute. But
what type of dog?
As she's like we rescued her, so it's like a mutt, but she's like pit bull-ish something mixed in. So, but she's cool. But I took her out the other day because I was like got up early to watch them because her and my other dog don't necessarily get along yet. And so I was sitting between them and I saw her like wake up because it was like early in the morning. I got up at like 7:30 and like 9. She like started getting up, sniffing around. I'm like, all right, she's got to use the bathroom. Let me get up. I got up, I put her down on the floor. I turned around to get a sweatshirt. And when I turned back around, she was just peeing on the floor in front of me. I'm like, you motherfucker, you God. Oh, and I was like mad. And there was like a little pad that we put around the house for her to pee on, just like next to it. She peed next to it instead of on the pad. So I took her out. She walked around, didn't do anything outside. I come back in, shit's on the floor. Just in front of me again. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
That sounds personal, honestly.
Oh, she was testing me. She was testing my limits, but I was less than thrilled. So she'll go on the rat list for here.
That's tough, man. That reminds me of like I cat sitted once, and I just came back and like great. Honestly, cat sitting for this cat for a long time turned me into more of a cat person, like not more than a dog person, but I like cats now more than I did. But I just came back from like going to the beach or something, and there's just like a little like just shit right on my bed. I'm like, you're supposed to poop in the kitty litter thing, dude. What's going on here? Yeah, and I'm like, you just literally just shit on my bed. It's like, are you asserting dominance? Is that what's happening?
It's a classic. Yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah. That's not recent, but that's definitely worthy of going on the rat list. I think my landlord's like around at the moment, like doing stuff around our like where we live. But she's definitely on my rat list. She's always fucking just leaving shit around. Like we live kind of like on like a bigger block of land type of thing, and there's just random shit just will pop up near like our area of stuff, and I'm like, why is there a bike that's broken and like an old whippersnipper lawnmower thing? Like put it on your side. Why is it near our side? That's a good one. I'll leave it there.
That's a good one. All right. Well, thank you, Jake. I don't want to take up too much more of your day. We appreciate you very much for coming on the show. Everyone, go watch First the Floor. Go watch everything Jake does. We appreciate you. You want to let the people know just all the ats, all that stuff, because I'll inevitably mess it up.
Oh no, dude! At First the Floor on Twitter and stuff like that, and the YouTube and on all the podcasts. But yeah, at Jake Eisenberg on Twitter. Come watch. Look, here's what you want to do. You want to join. You want to watch the How About Them Celtics pregame show, and then you want to jump over to the Celtics blog playback room where you watch the games, and then you do the First the Floor after night, and then you wake up the next morning and you do the How About Them Celtics pod, and then that's how you should be living your life, night in, night out. That's what I would be doing.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you, Jake. We appreciate you very much. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to How About Them Celtics here on Spotify and on Apple. You can follow Jake on Twitter at Jake Eisenberg. You can follow Sam on Twitter at SamWithFriendsNBA. You can follow me on Twitter at JacksonOneNBA. That's it for us.
Taco. Come on. Taco.